Good morning, and salam alaikum. Peace and blessings be to you guys. Another day, another dollar, making the donuts. Same old. Praying and hoping that you guys are doing great and your family members are doing fine. Que los muertos los acompañe, that your spirits accompany you always. We're talking about positive spirits, ancestry, and so on. I'm just coming in to bring up a short topic, very short, nothing so elaborate. It was actually a question that was asked and in an email last week, and it came to my mind. I read it, email back. When I get a chance, I'll try to speak a little bit on it. And the question is a simple question. It's nothing that big, but the question was, why do some tatas, meaning male, and this also happened with females, but yayas, but it was actually going with the male. Why do some tatas wear either a scarf on their head, or they wear sometimes some type of head covering that looks like it's from Ocha, or let's say a kufi? We know kufis, a lot of Muslims use the kufi. It's something that has to do with their prayer, but not all of them use it, and not all of them use it for praying anyway. But a hat, some type of hat, they might put on a hat that looks like, like either a dress hat or a hat made out of palm, the backbone of the palm, or different other types, but you'll see it kind of looks like a dry, nice and goldish colored natural palm leaf or something hat. Like in Puerto Rico, we have a traditional headwear that comes from the palm tree, and they weave it for the men, and you'll see it will have things on the sides and all. It looks nice. I actually have one because I like them, and it's good for the sun, because they used to use that headgear on to, while they were outside farming, cutting grass, tobacco, coffee, sugar cane, all this, because Puerto Rico was a big sugar cane, let's say, factory industry. That was the main exploitation of Puerto Rico, was sugar cane. When the conquerors came and all that, and America came in, it was exploitation of sugarcane, mainly. It was tobacco also, but the main thing was sugar from the cane. Well, there's a couple of ways to look at this, because some tatas use it because they naturally wear stuff on their head. Naturally they like putting stuff on, scarves or whatever. Some have a certain belief, a certain understanding that they don't want their head to be bare open to the, let's say, to the atmosphere or around people, because this is where their mind is at. This is where things communicate from and all that. Well, one of the places, and they like to cover it up. They could use any color, male or female, right? Then some don't use it at all, but they'll use a type of headgear when they're doing a ceremony. When they go on to do some type of ceremony, you see that they transform. They'll use a headgear. So you might see a scarf. Well, we're talking about head, so let's go with the headgear. You're gonna see a headgear on, a scarf, like I said, some type of. It could be a scarf just around here, tied up to the back. It could be over. It could be a kufi. It could be some use even those look like a chef's hat, and some use the santo hat, because maybe that person was crowned, or he can't find another headgear, so they, he'll use a headgear. Headgear is a headgear. It doesn't matter if one tradition uses it more than the other. It's just to cover their hair, to protect themselves. Or, that's another deal with that. They could be representing by the color of it they could be representing a type of spirit, you know, using the color representation. Another thing that could happen is that you'll see an elder, male or female, but usually I see the male. But I have seen males do things even backwards. Have had to put on certain female dress wear because the spirit that comes down is not a male, it's a female. So they have to have a saya, some type of garment that covers like a woman's garment on the side, you know, for they can put it on. They're under a trance, so they don't, you know, it's not the person doing it, and people help them. And it might seem comical enough, but things like this happen. But a lot of times in ceremonies, you'll see a tata put on a certain hat, and you don't know why he's putting it on. You think it's just a tradition, which a lot of times it is. But it's because, the majority is because the spirit that while he's working, doing a ceremony in that munanso, he most likely, there's a spirit there that comes down and mounts him. And that spirit requires, or in life, was a spirit that dressed and wore hats, you know, elegant, or was a countryman or something, you know, a farmer, and that's how they dressed, you know. So that tata will put on that hat, starting the day of the ceremony, he'll have it on, you know, and they go through all the procedures and everything, or whatever he's doing with that hat on. It could be with a scarf, but we're talking about the head. So, and he'll do everything with the hat on. If the spirit does come down and mounts him, he already has that hat that spirit requires, because that's how one of the ways he represents himself. You know, sometimes you see that when tata or yaya get mounted, there's certain things that the spirit asks for, either by words or by gestures, or somebody that been in the munanso so long, close to that yaya, close to that tata, or more than one, know when that spirit mounts what it already requires. What type of, if it drinks anything, what type of drink it requires. Because not all spirits, you know, will drink vodka. Not all will take Bacardi. You know, some of them are very, you know, they particularly something, you know, some way. Some don't like liquor, you know. Some don't even want to smoke tobacco. It's a rare occasion, yeah, because we so used to seeing them doing that. But, and I'm jumping to this just to give you more options. You see other things that do happen. So the same way that sombrero, that hat, that headgear, whatever, they can ask for their bakulu. You see, they'll have a bakulu there because that muerto that came down, he walks upon that with that bakulu. He either holds himself up with it, or that's something that he used to use, you know. So he requires of that, and once he puts his hands on his bakulu, you know, that's another object that's used, you know, through that spirit. You know, sometimes they could just tap you with that stick, and it ain't the stick, it's the spirit that's doing the work. But the stick is a representation of that ancestor, or that muerto that is mounted. I've seen quite a few, you know, mounts and in different occasions, you know, in regular misas espirituales, in just gatherings of having a barbecue, and you know, I'm around certain people that practice different types of traditions, right? And I have gone to places outdoors or indoors also, and you know, after all is done and everybody's eating and all, whatever, having a good time, you know, it somehow, some way, it always comes into speaking about tradition. whether Spiritismo, whether Santo, whether Voodoo, whether 21 Division, whether Palo and Nkisi Malongo, and then that conversation will start. And once that conversation starts, you have to remember you're around people that some have spiritual gifts. The majority of, not all of them, are in a tradition. So now stuff starts getting serious. The talking, the debating on certain issues without fighting. But still, there are debates, because not everybody believes or accepts everything that everybody else. So there's little debates and stuff. And then just in that moment, you don't know, all of a sudden there's a conversation, and all of a sudden you see a person that drops to the ground, or his eyes flip back, or his hands start turning, and it's mounted because they are talking about something, and it kind of pulls that spirit, and now that person is mounted, and now that person is, that spirit is coming out and speaking and stuff like that. There's a lot of reasons why Tatas and Yas wear certain things, use certain instruments, certain tools. There are some spirits that when they come down, it's not just a sombrero. It's give me the machete. They ask for the machete, or they'll grab the machete. The embele. You know what I'm saying? Because these are things that they use. Some want a certain type of cigar. They blow it at you to clean you. But usually the hats or the sombreros or this type of thing, this is the reason why a lot of tatas use them. Either they had an ancestor that dressed that way, and especially if that ancestor passed and that son, grandson has a sombrero from his grandpa, forget about it. That's even, because his essence, sweat, everything is there. It's like, and that's my hat. It represents me. So a lot of times this is why it is useful. Now, when you go into a lot of the traditions, right? And there's little debates about it and all that, but they're let's say understandings, that different understandings, right? But there are understandings that negativity, or let's say spiritual things, let's say some believe it comes in through the head, some believe it comes in through the feet, some believe it comes through other means, to the back of the nuca. Some believe in both. So it's something, that we all gotta, just respect, the belief system or whatever they've been taught. Because when you're a child, right, you're a fragile baby. But the most fragile thing is your mollera right here. Have you ever seen a baby when it's born? This is real soft right here. There's no bone there. It hasn't developed completely. And you got to be very careful that the baby doesn't get hit there, because you could kill the baby. So that part there is a very important part, spiritually. So they cover. Now, look how crazy this is, if you want to look at it, that a lot of Muslims cover their hair their head when they're going to pray. Not all, a lot of them cover their head when they're going to pray. They put a kufi on, they put a scarf on, and then they bow down and pray. If you look at the Jewish people with the yarmulke in the back, right? It's not covering here, but it's covering back here. But you see the concept? It's something that has to do with their tradition. Why do they wear that? What does that mean? You understand? You look at the Hebrew Israelites. when they're going to speak about God, if they have their head completely covered, they take the covering off, and then they speak about God. Because they're not allowed to speak with their head, the top of their head covered. Now, you might see some that have scarves wrapped around, but when you look real good, if they put their head down, this is open right here. It's just that you see the scarf going like this, and it's built up around them and tied so you don't see, but the head is uncovered. And then for the woman, it's supposed to be backwards. In that tradition, the woman has to cover her hair. You understand? And then some don't believe, then some believe that the covering is her hair. You understand? So these are things, just I'm just giving you guys examples of how from one tradition to another tradition to another religion to another, the concept, you know, there's something there. But anyway, guys, short video. I don't want to, you know, hold up too much. I like to keep them short, not too long. Be safe. Kensambi lakutare and your ancestors. Salam alaikum, alaikum salam. Always thumb up the video for the algorithm, brothers and sisters. It's all I ask for the algorithm, just to share the videos out. You know how I am. I just speak what comes to mind and questions and things that happen in life to me, to others. And this is just how I open this channel. That's it. Be safe, guys. Salam alaikum.